Good afternoon, everyone. So following Carlos' excellent presentations, what I'm going to share with you in the next 10 to 15 minutes is to put data science and business intelligence into the HR context. And that's how we call people analytics. Just to put everyone on the same page, what is people analytics? So people analytics is essentially using the data from various sources. It can be from surveys, can be from HR systems, can be from your productivity data, and so on and so forth. We put in the melting pots, generate some insights together, and try to come up with some useful, actionable insights to make better decisions for the business. Okay? And there are four levels of the people analytics maturity models. The deeper that we get, the more difficult is it to build. And I'm going to share the details in the next bit. The first bit is called the operational reporting. And this is actually the most fundamental part of all the analytics of all. And that's how we call it the foundations. The business will make use of the operational reporting to support their day-to-day business. Without reporting, the business cannot run. The operational reportings are usually very detailed in nature, highly granular, and you will know immediately whether it's correct or not, because you just see a line, you see the data is wrong, it is wrong. It is relatively easy to generate, and some examples of using it is like, you have a headcount roster, you want to look at exception reports, and anything that you need to take immediate actions of. Let's say in AIA we have background screening exception reports. So we have, whenever we hire into someone, we need to do some background screening hired by external party, and then if there's a red report coming in, our HR will need to take actions of it to follow up to see if we need to do something about it. And in the analytics development perspective, operational reporting is mostly used as a base report or baseline for us to do any further training or any further use of the data. So this is the most important, the most fundamental bit of any analytics development. Moving up is called the descriptive analytics. And this is the part that most organizations will plateau at that level. What we call the descriptive analytics, we focus on what has happened. We look at the historical data, and then we summarize in a certain way. So usually they are summarized in nature, and we make use of charts and graphs, lines, and visualization. That makes it look quite fancy and slick. And that's how we call it dashboards. We put different charts all together. Descriptive analytics are relatively easy to troubleshoot because if you see a particular data is wrong, you can always drill down to the details, look at the individual line items to see where the issue is. And some use cases is like if you want to look at trending, the headcount trending, turnover trending, gender pay gap analysis. This is a hot topic within AIA. We do a lot of diversity and inclusion. And that's how we usually use it to see what the problem is and see how we take actions of it. Now an analyst usually will live with this descriptive analytics, live with the dashboards, look through the data, do all this slicing and dicing, and see where the problem pockets are lying in, and then they can include the management report. A more advanced version of descriptive analytics is some sort of machine learning. So it will do all kinds of patterns to see any anomalies, any areas that require further attentions, and then it presents to the user. So within these charts, these are the issues. As you can see in the laser pointer here. If you see it here, you see where the average time to hire gaps is. Average time to hire gaps is between different organizations, where you need to take a closer look at it. And then the people, the analysts or HR business partners will not need to look at every single pattern to determine where we need to pay closer attention. And this is what we call augmented analytics. The next two levels of the people analytics is getting more and more complex. It's more and more difficult to build. And it's more and more difficult to prove success. And this is what the next step is called the predictive analytics. The predictive analytics is not like a chart, but it's like a prediction of how likely certain event will happen. Sounds a bit of gibberish here, right? So you can imagine that as weather forecasts. So a weather forecast is telling you tomorrow what the temperature range is going to be like, how likely it's going to rain, and so on and so forth. This is exactly the same. So you use a lot of historical data and try to model from what is the current situation is, and then we'll predict the outcome for you. It can also give you the range of values that it may happen. How likely people believe the organizations, or how likely will the turnover rate will be. So those are the forecasted values. Predictive analytics will never be 100% accurate. Okay? If I tell you 100% accurate, I'll be lying to you. Just exactly like it is weather forecast. It will never be 100% accurate. It can be 99.9999% the confidence that it will be accurate, but it will never be 100%. Okay? So examples of predictive analytics is like churn analytics and candidate screening. So at AIA, we built we had two predictive analytics initiatives. One is the candidate screening. So we look at the CVs for the candidates coming in, and then we match and see how likely that particular person's profile matches the job description and whatever is required by the role, and then we have a score coming in. So that is a way to help our recruiter to shortlist and prioritize who to meet first. And the second initiatives that we have started is the churn prediction. So we look at all the people who have left the organizations in the past 3 years. We look at the patterns and then see who is more likely to leave to resign from the organization in the next 6 months. The result is the first initiatives on candidate screening we launched to production. So everyone is using it across 18 markets. But the churn prediction, we had to shelve it because the accuracy is still not quite to the level that we wanted. We expected to the usable stage. So we need additional data to supplement it and retrain it and make it useful. But it is an investment, it's a business decision, so we decided to kind of hold it for now. Now, predictive analytics itself is quite difficult to use alone because it tells you the what will happen, how likely it will happen. But if we present that figures to our stakeholders, to our leaders, they will probably ask us, so what? Or now what? And to answer those questions, the fourth stage will be the answer, prescriptive analytics. Prescriptive analytics is not to give you a number, but to give you actionable recommendations. What can you do to produce the desired outcome or optimal results? And that is broadly known as AI. So that's like a broad term, it's an instance of using it. Some examples is like career moves. So let's say if I want to see what my possible next move in the organization is, then this prescriptive analytics will, just like the charts here, will tell you, you're in this role, how many people move to the next role, and so on and so forth, so you make the right decisions out of it. And the other one is like training recommendations. So if you do succession planning, it will be helpful to see what kind of skill gaps that person is missing in order to be successful in the next role. And then the AI or the prescriptive analytics will be here to recommend you what kind of things you can take to bridge the gap. Okay. I'm going to shift gear a little bit here because we talk a lot about analytics and it looks very fancy, but now I think we more going into a more pragmatic part of it. This is from our experience in implementing people analytics, and I would just like to share 5 guiding principles that will help maximize the chance of success in people analytics development. The first one is think big, but start small. People analytics is like building constructions. It takes a lot of time and effort and resources to build the foundations. So it's just like the same building analytics. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort in order to see something tangible. So in order to have a big people analytics development, we need to start building the foundations, but we also need to find low-hanging fruit or some quick wins that can help to keep the business interested, and that will make us an easier sell. Because developing people analytics can be like a huge, it's like a sky's the limit for the budget. So you definitely need to start small. Do bit by bit and have a better, you know where we are, and then have a better self. Next part, a lot of people, especially business, thinks that, oh, data analytics looks great, but it's actually a tip of an iceberg. What you see at the top, those are the whatever insights and dashboard, but all these efforts, all these things is actually under the water, that is invisible. And one of the biggest things is data quality. Data quality is one of the biggest challenges in all analytics development. That's why I call it data quality backs effective data analytics. Just like you're in a Michelin star restaurant, you are eating fancy dishes, but if a dish is made of rotten ingredients, it makes your stomach upset, you're unlikely to go back to that restaurant again. Just like analytics. If you had a fancy model, all this sophisticated model, but you find out that headcount number is incorrect in the management dashboard to your CEO, how likely he will see your dashboard again? So this is very important. In our analytics development, we spend at least 70% of our time not on the model development, but on looking at data, solving for the data, and making sure the data is in usable state. So it's a lot of work underneath on that. And this is something we need to make sure people appreciate about it. Then you would ask, what makes the right data quality? And I would say robust processes render robust data quality. To give an example, in HR systems, if the date of birth is optional field, and then somehow there's a default value of putting January 1st, 1900 as the default value for any blank field, then if you want to put all the data together and you want to analyze the average age of an employee, you see someone 123 years old. So if you look at it, definitely the data is incorrect. So therefore, having the robust process, robust governance is the key to every success of analytics development. I know I'm running short in time, so I'm talking faster and faster. The fourth part is especially important for companies with subsidiaries or running in a distributed operating model, especially of data teams everywhere, is standardization. Imagine in a case that we look at average service or length of service for an employee. Do we count them from the day one when they first company the very first time, or we count them from when they rejoin the company the very last time? The two results will be very different. If we don't have agreement across all the subsidiaries about length of service, and if we put all the data together and we aggregate, and guess what the result will be? The data will be skewed. So it is very important to have a right standardizations, possibly having some kind of processes or standards across all the group and agreeable upon them, and to avoid disagreement and dispute. And the last bit is more for the data analytics. Data analytics is like swimming in the ocean. Data exploration of that. Without the right goal where to focus on, you can easily be sink in the ocean. And it's also for data analysts, it's very natural that we look at something and then we start drilling on that and then build all these insights and models and get insights out, and then we present to our stakeholders. Probably some people will appreciate, but some people will say, so what? Because the insight we generate may not be relevant to them. So as data analysts, it is important to have the what's in it for them mindset, to see what's important to them. And one way to do it is think of what the business question, just like what Carlo mentioned, what is important to them, and see what are the data elements is answering those questions, and then we go from there. Don't go the other way around. Otherwise, either you're boiling the ocean, or you're not doing the right thing, and you waste of time and resources for that. I think my time is up, but I do appreciate the time you listen to my sharing, and I will pass it to Shane for the next bit. Thank you.